Mountains and adventure have always gone hand in hand. California, 1970s. Off-road biking on rough terrain explodes onto the scene when cruisers evolve into mountain bikes. In the late 90s, a bold group of renegades takes mountain biking even further. These outsiders set out to redefine where two wheels can take them, a quest that changes mountain biking forever.
Cam Zink set to drop in.
He's lining himself up for the Oakley Icon Center. This is it, Todd.
Here's the approach.
All big moments start with little ideas. Ideas powered by imagination and transformed into breathtaking spectacles. Exhilarating events celebrated by millions around the world. Groundbreaking competitions combining all-out fearlessness with absolute style. Adventures that leave the beaten track, where people are challenged to go the distance and become heroes for a day. This is the story of how little ideas turn into big moments. This is a history of heavy lines and desert drops. Virgin, Utah, a desert mecca with some of the most stunning, rugged terrain in the world. It's the hallowed birthplace of free-ride mountain biking and home to its pinnacle event, Red Bull Rampage, the final and most anticipated stop on the Free-Ride World Tour. Here, a rider's style can reach as far as their imagination, and their courage will take them. Each year, the world's top freeriders make the pilgrimage to Utah to test their skills on the treacherous cliffs. What sets Red Bull Rampage apart from other events is its course, with each rider building their own lines. There are course boundaries, but how bold a rider is within those boundaries is completely up to them. Oh! Red Bull Rampage is not a race. It's a judged event where riders score points for the best of two runs. Points are based on 4 criteria: air and amplitude. How big can a rider go? Control and fluidity. A rider has to connect their lines and make it look easy. Tricks and style. What types of tricks and how smoothly are they executed? Difficulty of line. This is the most important criteria and looks at how impressive a rider's overall line is. Red Bull Rampage is invite only, and today draws world-class athletes from all facets of mountain biking. In its early days, though, the event is a much more humble affair. In 2001, free-ride mountain biking exists, but it's the new kid on the block, an outsider with limited support compared to traditional disciplines like cross-country and downhill. Far away from the starting gates and podiums is a unique character with a unique vision. Some see him as a free-ride pioneer, others as a madman.
They still think I'm a lunatic, you know, and I'll look in the mirror and I won't disagree with them and say, no, I'm not a lunatic, but I still talk of myself in the third person, and Bender is a lunatic.
Josh Bender's new direction for the sport isn't always popular. If his ideas are to become reality, he'll need others to believe in him. Visionaries like filmmaker Derek Westerlund.
Todd, to this day, is the heart and soul of the event.
And event coordinator Todd Barber.
Big D, he's huge and instrumental in that first year and believing in it and getting the right people to get out there and document it.
These men have the foresight to see Josh Bender as less of a lunatic and more of a pioneer.
Bender was out in Utah hucking these huge jumps. Nobody understood him. You know, they thought he was just like this lunatic stuntman trying to kill himself. And he was. I mean, he was highly criticized. But the idea of Rampage came from what Josh was doing.
It's 2001. Australia is holding its first ever mountain biking event called the Red Bull Ride.
It was on this 45-degree mountainside, massive huck, 30-foot airs.
Australia proves that it's possible to go big. Now it's North America's turn. Where Red Bull Ride is composed of man-made features, Red Bull Rampage decides instead to use natural ones, just like in backcountry skiing. Finding a location that mimics this terrain is key.
On kind of the second we found the terrain, to me it made all sense.
Josh Bender's backyard in Virgin, Utah provides the perfect terrain.
First Rampage was sort of a one-off.
To get people involved and committed to competing in the event was quite difficult at the time. I mean, I remember calling a lot of team managers, and I got a lot of just no callbacks, and people just didn't really understand what we were trying to do.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to day one of the Red Bull Rampage. And 28 of the finest freeride athletes in the world fighting it up for Rampage gold to tomorrow, Sunday. Sunday.
The athletes in attendance are a mixed bag of riders, from the elite to the unknown. One of those unknowns is an American downhill racer, a fresh-faced 14-year-old.
My name's Kyle Straight, K-Y-L-E-S-T-R-A-I-T.
He was 14 years old, and I'm just like, God, I just don't know if a 14-year-old can do this or not.
Any doubts about Kyle are soon put to rest as Red Bull Rampage launches into action.
And this is Kyle Straight. Big, steep drops early on for Kyle Straight.
Gets so amped up after a big trick to lose control, but he is maintaining a nice launch.
People showed up, and there was this concept we had, and it was validated by all these guys showing up.
No one validates these concepts clearer than Canadian Wade Simmons, the godfather of freeride mountain biking.
On course, and he's got the mix of everything though, Cam. He's technical. He doesn't mind the big drops as he works his way over on this very precarious line.
You know, being the first year, we were pioneering at that time, like the big airs. We really didn't know how big we could go.
It was a really fitting win. He's the quintessential freerider. He was the guy that everybody loved.
You could just see it in everybody's faces that something had just happened. I think we all knew from right then that it was at least going to happen for another couple of years.
With the event a success, the question quickly changes from, is this even possible, to where can we take it?
First year was kind of, what was going on in the desert out there, right? You know, and then the pictures started to trickle out there, and everyone was like, what is this thing, you know? And it just built momentum.
The following years are filled with imagination and innovation. For the riders, there are no limits and no fear.
Year 2, Super T. Dude threw it huge off a cliff that people were like, that'll never happen.
Word of this insanity spreads quickly. What initially is a handful of local fans, by 2003 is a mountainside filled with photographers and spectators from around the world.
Third year in 03, that's when it caught on.
Rampage really gave the sport that arena it needed. Year 3, you got Cedric Gracia, literally one of the best mountain bike talents on the planet, one of the top racers on the planet, coming in and winning the event.
Cedric Gracia, ladies and gentlemen.
The effective Red Bull Rampage is starting to go beyond the event itself, now influencing future generations who are seeing it in the media.
My interest, built around the event for sure, and ever since then it's been a dream of mine just to compete in it.
The lines that riders choose may seem obvious, but they're not. The mountainside is a blank canvas with each rider building their own routes down the treacherous cliffs. The more creative and risky the line, the better they'll score.
Like a berm and then a hip-hop, there's a little mini drop.
On arrival, the athletes and their 4-man crews are given 2 things, a starting point and a finish line. From there, it's up to the rider to connect the dots.
This place is insane. I've never actually walked around on the site before now. And it's pretty tough because you got to pick and choose, like, okay, I want to build this feature, but how much work is it going to be? We have 7 days with 4 guys, just shovels and picks.
These are like probably the gnarliest conditions you can work in. Sweat is on, man. It is a scorcher. I guess you can't complain, we're all getting a tan.
The biggest challenge for a rider is finding the biggest features and connecting them. For example, a rider likes this canyon gap, but also wants this cliff drop. But there's a 21-meter chasm here. No matter how crazy the features, a rider will lose points if they have to pedal the fire road here. How these challenges are solved can be the difference between a podium finish and 10th place.
The sickest line I've seen of the day. Look which way he takes off. A 360! Oh my gosh, he pulls in that canyon that he built, so he's gonna charge along this fire road. But I think this is what's hurting his score.
Ideally, a rider would spend allotted build time figuring out the terrain before making their line. But with 20 other competitors, that luxury does not exist. At Red Bull Rampage, originality is king, and a rider must avoid running the same line as someone else.
Well, it's the same every year. We pretty much get out here before sunlight, and we leave when the sun goes down.
Finally, after 7 straight days of manual labor, it's time to ride. 2004 is a big year for Red Bull Rampage, with different mountain biking disciplines finally coming together. Athletes like 17-year-old Kyle Strait and his fellow American Cameron Zink both come from race backgrounds, but are also top-level competitors.
Zink came in 04, and he was still, kind of new to the scene, young kid.
In that same year, Zink attempts a trick that will both define his career and alter the entire sport.
Like Cam Zink started throwing off a drop. I remember seeing that and not even understanding what he was trying to do.
Definitely was kind of almost a foreshadow for the future.
He was so close to getting that right there.
Just like his friend, Strait is a newcomer, but a fierce force to be reckoned with.
Year 4. Strait, he just decided to do the unthinkable, which is big air with the trick. There's no-hander over the sender gap. That was definitely raising the bar a few notches.
Kyle winning the 4th Rampage, to me, in my eyes, everything coming full circle.
What began as Josh Bender's crazy concept has now exploded into one of the most prestigious freeride events on the planet.
Kurt Sorge looking for something that many people never get a chance at, and that is a 2nd title at Rampage.
With the momentum behind Red Bull Rampage, the event is taken to new heights.
Cam Zink set to drop in. Here's the approach.
Will Zink and his bike stick the landing and make history? First, let's take a look at how riders prepare for the mountain. Red Bull Rampage is a one-of-a-kind annual event with unique, unforgiving terrain. So how do they train for it?
I don't even like using that term training. You kind of just do whatever helps you be consistent on the bike.
Different athletes have different methods of getting ready for the grueling event.
Staying fit for me is a big part of being able to make it through the season. Because if I'm not fit, I'm going to go down. I'm going to have to stay there for a while. It's all about survival. If you're in shape and your muscles are strong, you're going to be able to take the beats a lot better.
Free riders know that in order to be a pro, they need to ride like a pro and crash like one too. In a split second, a perfect ride can turn into disaster. When that happens, these athletes understand that all they can do is brush themselves off and go at it again. One of the most important tools a rider can bring to Red Bull Rampage is confidence. And the key to building confidence is repetition. Everything from modern facilities to homemade backyard ponds can be used. First, athletes will start by doing a trick into water or foam. Then they take it to a soft rubber landing. Once they're comfortable, they move to the more controlled jumps at a park. And finally, when a trick has become second nature, a rider will try it on the rugged, unpredictable Utah terrain. From 2004 to 2008, Red Bull Rampage takes a scouting break.
We wanted to go and kind of do this event somewhere else in the world, and so for years, we've been looking.
But what thousands of globe-trotting miles prove is that there's no place like home.
It's just not really anywhere else in the world like Virgin, Utah.
On its return, the new venue is bigger and badder than ever. In a break from tradition, intensive upgrades are done in order for the venue to keep up with the demands of the sport.
You had man-made features, a build crew coming in for a month ahead of time, and it then step changed the sport again.
See that guy sitting up there with it? He's got a bike.
The man-made features enable athletes to do the unimaginable.
Well done, well done, yeah.
Cameron Zink continues going for, but not always landing, 360 drops, while a new breed of young guns are eager to prove they belong with the big boys. 18-year-old Canadian Kurt Sorge has had a lifelong dream of competing at Red Bull Rampage, and it's about to come true.
When you watch on TV, you're just like so pumped. It's amazing. And when you get here, it's way more like hardcore than you could ever imagine.
I was a little intimidating coming in a bit younger.
But Kurt doesn't let it stop him from taking second place at his first ever Red Bull Rampage.
Put your hands together for Kurt Sorge.
And Kurt won't be the youngest on the podium in 2008.
He's got to the top, heli's up, so that means the contest is starting.
At 17 years of age, fellow Canuck Brandon Semenuk is eager to show the world what he's capable of.
Brendan
The next generation of young riders is laying it all on the line with bigger and more technical tricks.
The sport had changed. The youth were taking over.
A big win, folks.
Changing the guard, I'd say, that first year.
In 2010, an impressive addition to the Red Bull Rampage venue is constructed, the Oakley Icon Sender.
2010 as a pivotal year, and I really do think that was kind of the year that changed it.
Yeah, I heard Zing won a 3 this. That's pretty insane.
Nobody thought it was possible.
Here he is, folks. Cameron Zink. He was so close to getting that right there.
A crash like that is enough to take out most athletes, but Cam Zink is about to prove that he isn't like most athletes.
All right, back to the top. Cameron Zink.
Here he is, Brad. We saw what he tried last time.
It was still very much kind of a niche grassroots sport. It wasn't really until Zink was when he did his 3 was the year that kind of Rampage got on the map.
When he stuck that and rode away, I mean, that was a game changer.
Put your hands together for Cameron.
Together with Cam's ride, Red Bull Rampage puts mountain biking on the world stage, defying all preconceived notions of what's possible on 2 wheels. Finding a unique way down the mountain is a rider's priority. How to add extra style points to separate oneself from the rest of the pack is the question facing athletes in the early years. The solution? Tricks.
Just to see people taking things that you would see in the X Games, like street courses, and bringing it out into, those big mountain kind of venue was pretty cool to see.
Initially, taking a hand off here or a foot off there is considered tricky, but that doesn't last long.
Over that jump, it is super cedar. That was pretty fun.
The tricks evolve into 360s and flips. Eventually, even those aren't enough to impress. A rider wants to score high for trick criteria, he needs to add a no-hander into the flip.
A lot of influence came from a couple different places, and it has a lot of BMX influence, motocross influence.
Initially, athletes are tricking small features. In 2003, Cedric Gracia of France performs the first ever backflip on a 5-foot air. Then, in 2013, Kelly McGarry performs the biggest backflip ever, clearing an incredible 22 meters. The tricks at Red Bull Rampage are constantly evolving. Just when it seems that the ceiling has been reached, a rider comes along and takes the sport to a new level.
A backflip, 1-footed can off the flat drop, putting his foot over the top tube.
Cam Zink, hot off his victory from the previous season, is determined to become the first rider to win back-to-back Red Bull Rampages. Instead, things go seriously wrong.
That was one of the biggest crashes in the history of Rampage. Even if he's not winning, he's still doing something so gnarly that it's getting into the mainstream.
In 2008, Kurt Sorge achieves a second-place finish at Red Bull Rampage. By 2012, there's only one place for him to go.
Kurt Sorge on course.
Huge no-handed step down there for Sorge. This could be the run he's looking for.
Sorge's he always seems to be kind of the dark horse. No one really talks about him, and he doesn't always show his deck of cards to me. He's not like the other guys where he'll go practice his run over and over again. He'll maybe hit it once or twice.
This is Sorge at his best, the Superman over the doubles. What's he got in store, folks, in this last part of the course? Oh, my...
Just top to bottom, I still think it's one of the legendary run that he did that year. All the tricks and the style and the speed he did it at.
Sorge finishes the day victorious, planting himself firmly in the history books and fulfilling a lifelong dream.
It definitely is one of those milestones for a person that wants to get to that certain level. I think winning Rampage gets you there a lot quicker, obviously.
Sorge is your winner of Rampage.
A broken leg prevents Kurt from defending his title in 2013. Up to this point, no one has taken back-to-back wins at Red Bull Rampage.
There'd never been consecutive winners like you win Rampage one year, you're automatically shoe-in for the win the next year. That's not how this game plays.
But Kyle Straight and Cam Zink both set out to make history. With a higher level of competition and risk, the question remains, will it even be possible?
The event had evolved. We had also, now this was our third year, we had done the Icon Center, which had kind of become this center focal point of big drops and what can be done. And the second Kyle got there, I mean, he just gravitated right towards it. And we all knew that that's where he was going. And what he was going to do it, we weren't sure, but we knew he was going to send that thing. The age he was at, he was so young when he won the first one, or even when he first competed in it. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all that he won it the second time.
Kyle Straight, winner of Rampage 04 with a big no-hander, comes back years later, same trick, bigger feature.
Oh, yes, and he pulls in a suicide no-hander.
Takes the win. Kind of goes to show you that some things never go out of style.
He was the first guy to repeat, and his presence at the Rampage is big. I mean, he is always a force out there.
Kyle Straight takes the win and becomes the first ever two-time champion at Red Bull Rampage. But it's his friend Cam Zink who will do something so death-defying that he'll once again propel mountain biking back into the worldwide spotlight.
Zink started talking to Wytech, who was building it at the time, and he asked him to build a little lip. And we're just like, what the hell are you gonna do with this lip?
Cam is still recovering from a massive hematoma in his leg, and he is about to become a new father. Despite this, he sets out to do the riskiest thing he's ever done.
He's lining himself up for the Oakley Icon Center. This is it. Here's the approach. Yes, he pulls it!
Zink's backflip was probably one of the most intense moments of my career. If you over-rotated or under-rotated that jump, that's a career-ending moment.
It's just unimaginable by anybody else except for Zink. Sure enough, in comp, he just sends it and couldn't have hit it more perfect. I mean, we were all crying. I mean, his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, she was crying. We were crying. Derek was crying. We were all just like, my God, that's just the most insane thing that's ever been done on a bike. So
it's the biggest flip drop in the history of two-wheeled sport, but sheer excitement will cost him the victory.
Zink will be the first to tell you. He was so adrenalized from landing that backflip that he forgot about the rest of his run.
Amazing feat. That's the biggest thing I've ever seen on a bicycle.
By the end of 2013, it's clear that Red Bull Rampage needs a new location yet again.
it seemed like after about 4 years, just about everything had been done on that site.
The following year, the event is moved to the backside of the previous venue. Sorgi is forced to let go of dreams of a two-peat.
In 2014, broke my leg again.
Instead, he roots from the sidelines for close friend Andreu Lacondegui of Spain.
It was one of the sickest runs of Rampage, just because of how hard charging he was doing it. He looked like a skier on a bike.
2014 Red Bull Rampage. Andreu Lacondegui, your winner.
Yeah, the 10th edition was, again, just a lot of build-up to the event. Out of the 40 athletes we had there was probably 20 guys that could podium. And that, to me, was the first time that coming in, it was like, oh my God, all the big hitters are here, and the top 10 is a total toss-up.
In 2015, Kurt Sorgi returns for his first Red Bull Rampage since his 2010 victory. He's gunning for a second win in a sport that's had years to progress. Some question if he still has what it takes.
In 2014, when I broke my leg again, I was that end of the year. I get dropped by the biggest supporter, biggest company I've been riding for 10 years.
This is the only major contest Kurt competes in 2015, and his only chance to prove his skeptics wrong.
Again, he was a dark horse in the sport, and I think the event had changed a lot since the last time he was there.
Backflip across from rider's left to rider's right.
Questions about Sorgi's abilities are quickly silenced as he becomes the second two-time winner in the event's 10 years.
Being able to come back and win Rampage this year, proving that I'm serious and it's not like, a couple injuries are gonna maybe slow me down, but it's not gonna stop me. For me, Rampage is, we have the event, it's writing another page in the history of mountain biking.
2015 Red Bull Rampage has been making history for a decade, and there's no end in sight.
Feel super proud to be, involved in it and part of it.
Red Bull Rampage's continued success is based on the fundamental human desire to progress, to push boundaries, to shatter each and every expectation.
If you look at it after 10 years, what Bender had envisioned all the way back then is only being realized now.
Every year I'm just humbled by it, You just see what they can actually do, and that what their vision is something that's totally doable in their minds, which translates to them actually nailing it.
At the foundation of Red Bull Rampage's evolution and success is a madman who started out with a mad vision.
I can't believe it's 10 years, dude, in the making. It just seems like yesterday we had the first one.